When you finally bring your brand new baby home, you're thrust into what feels like an endless cycle of feedings, diaper changes, fragmented sleep cycles, and a never ending search down a rabbit hole trying to figure out what your baby's trying to communicate or what's wrong or am I doing this right? And oftentimes, the questions that brand new moms just like you often ask me when I'm working with them as a postpartum doula is when does this end? How long does this last? And when will I get my time, my body, and my life back? Welcome to my channel. My name is Elisa and I'm a postpartum doula and a mom of two, and I provide virtual and in-person support for new moms who are in their postpartum season so that they can step into motherhood with clarity, ease, and confidence. And as a mom of two myself, I totally understand where that feeling of when does this end comes from. The days start to get away from you and you really start to see how your time priorities are shifting to make room for your new role as a parent and a caregiver. It's no wonder that you're probably eager to get back to your old life or your old way of doing things. But I'm here to tell you the secret to finding ease and flow to your postpartum days so that you can really lean into your experience instead of trying to rush through it. Because the truth is, your baby is only this small for once. You only have this postpartum season once. And it's really bittersweet when you look back and you try to remember those times and you don't have photographs of yourself and your newborn baby. Sure, you have tons of your baby because of course they're adorable, but you're really wishing that you had taken more photos of yourself or asked somebody, hey, please snap a picture of me. Or you might be missing some of your fitness or self-care routines. I totally get it. The key to getting back your time is to take your time, to really lean into your postpartum season and understand that it's okay to slow down. You only have this time once and it does not last forever. Very soon, your baby's going to be growing and getting bigger, becoming more independent and moving around. And you're going to wish that they were that tiny little newborn that slept all day. I can promise you that. I've been there myself, exhausted and up every 2 hours, desperately trying to meet all of my little baby's needs, and overwhelmed by my own physical recovery needs and taking care of some of the things that, were an after effect of my birth experience. I was also anxious about breastfeeding, worried if my baby was getting enough, wondering about if the gas that he was experiencing was a serious problem, wondering if he had a reflux. And on top of it all, I struggled to find time to really take a good shower and have a good meal without having to hold a baby. I really felt like I lost myself. But eventually, I did find my way as a mother. I started to get slightly more sleep. I mastered those newborn care tasks like diaper changes and bathing my baby. My body healed and transformed over time, and I developed a whole new relationship with my body. And I got to a place where I felt like I was really, truly successful at breastfeeding. I reached my breastfeeding goals and I was soaring right through them. My baby was happy and thriving, and I was happy with our nursing relationship. And so that was really a huge source of confidence for me. And lastly, I started snatching little bits of time for myself so that I could do things that really filled my cup back up and recharged my battery, whether it was taking a walk, taking a workout class, reading a book, taking a nap, whatever I felt like I needed in that moment, I took the time if I could. But seriously, it's all about time. And once I started becoming way more intentional with my time during my postpartum days, I started to see a huge difference in not only my happiness, but my baby's happiness and my family's overall happiness. I found myself enjoying the journey, smiling more, laughing more, finding humor in the little things, noticing and appreciating things more, showing a lot more gratitude. And one day, something just really clicked inside me and I was like, yes, I got this. And I realized it was because I stopped trying to rush through. And once I slowed down, I started to see positive changes and a huge transformation and evolution within myself. So today I'm going to share my 3-step process that I use with my postpartum doula clients and that I used myself to help really take charge of my days. And this process is going to help you to find a nurturing postpartum style of productivity that helps you to feel successful and accomplished at the end of each day, even though maybe all you did was keep the tiny humans alive. So the three things that you're going to do are: one, shorten your to-do list; two, pay attention to your baby's rhythms and flows; and three, take advantage of time blocking. And this is going to be a little bit of different type of time blocking than you may have typically heard of, but we'll get to that in step 3 of our process. So first, you're going to start by shortening your to-do list. I know it may be exciting to think about having 6 to 8 weeks or even more of time for maternity leave, where you can finish projects around your house, take some time for travel, get to that to-do list that's been building up over the last couple years. But I can assure you that once you bring home your brand new baby, you are not going to be thinking about any of those things, at least for a couple of weeks. So when it comes to the early postpartum days, you really want to think about focusing on 3 areas when you are scheduling out your days. And those 3 things are going to be: 1, your basic needs, and that means your physical recovery needs, as well as your basic needs for showering, brushing your teeth, getting a good meal, staying hydrated, making sure that you feel safe in your space. Those basic needs are going to be really important. Also, your baby's needs. Of course, you want to make sure that your baby is fed, clothed well, clean, diaper changed, entertained, happy, not crying, and content. And so you're also going to make sure that you're thinking about your baby's needs. And third, if you have time in each day, you may find a little space here and there to accomplish 1 to 3 must-do errands or to-dos that maybe can't wait, or that you're not able to delegate to someone else. So that's where delegation comes in. And so things that you may not want to or be able to delegate, or that are okay errands for a new mom to take on, might be things like sending out baby announcements. Maybe need to address the envelopes, but that's also something that you could delegate to someone else. I've done that as a postpartum doula myself. And there may be, mommy and baby laundry. Maybe that's something that you do every day, and it's an easy task that doesn't take too much out of you to get done. Whatever tasks you feel like, 1 to 3 each day, is really going to make sure that you're not putting too much on your plate. And so that if you do get them done, yes, that's awesome. You did great. But if you didn't, it's something that you can move to another day. Or, it's not a huge deal because you didn't have this huge to-do list weighing over you. It was just 1 or 2 things that you were thinking of. If you have time during one of the blocks that we'll talk about further on, to get done, then you get it done. So if there are things that you can't get done, but you are able to delegate, awesome. And you can delegate to your support squad, the people that you have gathered around you. And so that can be your partner, that can be friends and family, that can be community support, and that can also be hired help, like a postpartum doula, or if you have a chef, or you have a nanny, or housekeeper, anything that's going to help take things off of your plate so you can focus on your needs and your baby's needs. The second step in the process is taking time to pay attention to your baby's natural rhythms and flows. So if you're a first-time mom, you may feel called to put your baby on a schedule, or you may have read a baby book or seen a specific parenting technique that calls for your baby to be on a schedule. But I can assure you that trying to put your baby on a schedule is going to prove a lot more difficult if you don't know anything about your own baby's natural innate rhythms and flows. It's a lot easier if you slow down, listen, and observe your baby so that you can see the rhythms and flows that they follow each day, and then you can create a schedule around their rhythms and flows. And I even like to say a rhythm and flow of your own that goes along with your baby's rhythm and flows, because you're really going to be your baby is really going to be kind of taking the lead in the days, in the early days after you give birth, because you're going to be observing their feeding cues, and you're going to be changing their diaper after they pee and poo multiple times a day, and you're going to be changing their clothes. So you're really going to be kind of beholden to their flows, and so your flow is going to go in sync with your baby's flows as you observe and see how they operate each day. Now, in the beginning, your baby is going to be, what I like to say, pretty disorganized. But as they get older and their bellies get a little bigger and they start to develop more physically with the gross motor and fine motor development, they're going to start becoming a lot more organized with their flows. So babies typically spend their days in 3 phases. There's the eat phase, the sleep phase, and the active awake phase. And so with each baby, you're going to find a different combination and order of those 3 phases, but you will see them throughout your baby's day. Now, with a newborn, your baby is going to be all over the place. But as they get older and they become more confident with nursing and feeding, you'll see them start to become a little more organized, and then you'll start to be able to pick up on patterns and rhythms within your baby's day so that you can then start to structure your own rhythms and patterns around that. So one of the babies that I'm working with currently follows the pattern of eat, awake, alert, sleep. Eat, awake, alert, sleep. And she follows that pattern pretty regularly throughout the day. In the evening, she has a little bit of a different rhythm, but it's pretty consistent from day to day. But she likes to eat and have a nice full feed. Then she is full of energy. She wants to spend time looking around and sitting up, especially because she did have a little bit of reflux. So we always, had her sitting up after feedings, but that is her awake alert time, so it works out great. Now, of course, when she was younger, that time was pretty short, about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if we were doing something that was really holding her attention or she had a little more energy. And the time has gotten a little longer as she's gotten older. But she spends a good amount of time in that awake alert state. And this is when you can do things like tummy time, reading books, singing songs, listening to music, walking around the house, and just talking about the things around the house. Doing FaceTime with your baby, getting up close and personal with them and looking them in the eyes and really engaging them and letting them see your face and hear your voice and put those connections together. And then she would start to get tired and fussy and be ready for her nap. And so she would then pretty much be able to be bounced to sleep or rocked or whatever method we were using, whether she was walking in the stroller or we would use like the exercise ball as a bouncer, which was like one of her favorite things. So she'd be ready for her nap and she would go down for her nap and she'd sleep for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then she would wake up and she'd be ready to eat. Don't talk to her about anything else but milk. And she would have her nice full feed, and then she would be awake and alert and ready to play. And she would follow this cycle about 4 times throughout the day. And then in the evening time, she had a little bit of a different cycle where she nursed a bit more frequently. She still did have a short nap, but then she kind of geared up for longer stretches of sleep at night. And this is something that, as I said, has become more organized over time. So at first she was not sleeping for long stretches at night. She was really disorganized with her nights and her days. And as she's gotten older and gotten used to her family's rhythms, she is now sleeping for longer stretches of time at night. And so before that, she has a couple of nursing sessions. So it doesn't follow the same rhythm as during the day. It is a pattern that her mom sees from day to day. So as you're slowing down to pay attention to your baby's rhythms and patterns, you're going to want to track what you're observing in some way. And there's no one right way or only one way to do it. I myself am a pen and paper girl. You can write it down. You can use a physical paper logbook or tracker, or you can use an app. You can use your phone if you have a notes app on your phone to keep track of whatever you're trying to track. So whether it be the times that your baby's eating and how long they're nursing for, or if you want to track when they go to sleep and when they wake up and how long they sleep for in each cycle, or if you want to track their awake alert time, or if you want to track diaper changes. There's so many things you can log. And so there are tons of apps out there. And one of the great things about the apps is that a lot of times they will show you what is trending over time. After you have given it a bit of data, you can see, what are the trends with your baby, what are those natural rhythms and patterns that are showing up. And so that really kind of gives you a good idea of how you can set up your rhythms and flows. So now it's time to set up your rhythms and flows to coincide with your baby's patterns and rhythms and flows. Now, typically, what you're going to find is that your baby will have a couple of blocks of they eat, sleep, awake, flow. And so you can use those as your time blocks each day to decide, what am I going to do during this time block? So of course, we have the top 3 things that we're focusing on, which are your needs, your baby's needs, and maybe some must-do tasks or errands. Maybe you have to do some paperwork for your baby's birth certificate, or for your HR department, or anything along those lines. Like, those are things that must get done, so we need to set aside time for that. And that's something that obviously you have to do. You can't really delegate it to anyone else except maybe one other person. So we're going to make sure that we have time for those things. And so when you look at your baby's flows and patterns, you're going to want to decide, okay, in the first block of the day, what am I going to do during this block when my baby is asleep? And especially during those early newborn days when your baby is sleeping a lot more, you can really take advantage, especially to get more rest, to do self-care and take care of yourself, to make sure you're eating well and getting lots of fluids and nutritious drinks. So you're going to decide, what do you want to do in each block? And so for the first block of the day, I always, always, always suggest using that time block to get yourself up and ready for the day. Take a shower if you take a shower in the morning, brush your teeth, get dressed, put on something that makes you feel cute, comfortable, and confident. Brush your hair, do your hair. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as putting it up in a bun and adding a cute scrunchie, or putting it up in a cute claw clip, and you're done. It does not have to be too much, as long as you feel good and you feel like you've taken time to take care of yourself. If you feel like you want to do some lip gloss or some chapstick and mascara and brush your brows, you can do something like that. And that's like minimal makeup, but still makes you feel like, if you have to run out, you're still feeling good and not feeling like, okay, I'm not, feeling like myself because I haven't taken care of myself. So if that's something that resonates with you, then make sure that you can create a simplified routine around it, if you must, at least for the first couple of weeks after you give birth. There's really no need to be doing a full face of makeup, but if that's your style, that's your style. Who am I to judge? But then you'll typically have 3 more time blocks throughout the day where you can use them to rest, do some postpartum self-care if there's something that's more elaborate beyond like a normal bathroom visit, where you have to, apply ice pad, or, switch out your witch hazel pads, and maybe just check stitches or check your incision and make sure that things are, your dressings are clean. And you can also use 1 or 2 of those time blocks to fit in some of those must-do to-dos or errands that we talked about earlier. And so these are things that really should be things that you cannot delegate, that you have to do, that cannot wait. These are the things that you want to prioritize for those time blocks, and you really don't want it to be something that's going to be too strenuous or take too much out of you. So if it is something that's taking a lot out of you, or draining a lot of your energy, or requiring too much energy, then it's time to think about, how can you delegate? Is this something that I can delegate to someone else, or can I get help with this? Can I get somebody that can help me with this item or this errand? And you don't really have to be super duper strict with the routines and flows that you set up for yourself. Sometimes you're going to want to do things that don't perfectly align with your baby's rhythm and patterns. And so you're going to have to, leave the house in the middle of nap time, or you're going to have to do something where it requires you to nurse or feed your baby while you're out in public. And you may be surprised by what you learn about how your baby responds to different things. Many new parents find that their baby falls asleep in the car on the way home, and they can successfully transfer them from the car seat to the bassinet and get a good solid nap out of their baby, and it's like a total win for them. And so that's like a game changer, because then you're like, oh, maybe I can arrange things a little bit differently so that I don't have to be beholden to staying in the house while my baby is napping. Maybe I can be out a little bit before nap time and, head home while it's getting close to that time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with the to-dos and errands that are on your list, even with just keeping it to 1 to 3 things, it may be a good idea to think about simplifying your routines, just to save a little bit more time. And it doesn't have to be a permanent thing. You can just temporarily simplify your routine so that you're getting the basics done. You want to make sure that you're brushing your teeth, you're taking a shower every day, or at least, once a day if you're somebody that likes to shower multiple times a day. But you're taking care of your body, because that especially is good for postpartum healing, just making sure that those areas are clean. And you also want to make sure that you're taking time to meet your basic needs for food, that you're eating well, that you're drinking lots of water and nourishing beverages, teas, whatever you enjoy, that's going to help you to stay hydrated. But simplifying your routines is going to help you to save time and, make things a little more enjoyable, because you'll just find ease in the temporarily simplified routines. And as you get more time, you can start to incorporate steps and, build upon the routines that you've kept up during your postpartum season. You might also want to think about decluttering things from your home. You can donate them, you can sell them, or you can put them in storage. But decluttering, especially those main spaces where you're going to be caring for your baby, will help you not only to save time when you're cleaning, but it'll also create mental ease for you, because those things will not be visually taking up mental space for you. And don't feel bad about giving away or donating or selling, reselling baby things that you've been gifted. There are so many parents who have received baby clothes that their baby never wore because it wasn't the right season and size. And there's just so many factors that go into it, and babies like what they like, and somebody may give you something that your baby doesn't like, and you feel bad. So don't feel bad about passing things on to another family, donating them, or even thinking about reselling them to like a children's resale boutique. That's a great option. Now, if you're a paper and pen queen like me, I have a free postpartum daily planning page for you to download so that you can keep track of everything we discussed in this 3-step process, and will really just bring a lot more functionality and productivity to your days in a really simple way without overwhelming you. I'll make sure to put the link down in the description box below so you can get your copy. And now that you know how to set up your daily postpartum routine for your best postpartum season, you'll also want to learn the other ways that you can give yourself a strong start to motherhood. Check out my video on how to have a smooth transition to motherhood, where I'll share my top tips that you can start working on before and after birth. Please give this video a like if you found even one thing that you can take along with you into your motherhood era. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!